We were sitting on a dilapidated 17th century tomb in the late afternoon of an autumn day at the old burying ground in Arkham, and speculating about the Unnamable. Looking toward the giant willow in the cemetery, whose trunk had nearly engulfed an ancient, illegible slab, I had made a fantastic remark about the spectral and unmentionable nourishment which the colossal roots must be sucking from that hoary, charnel earth, when my friend chilled me for such nonsense and told me that since no interments had occurred there for over a century, nothing could possibly exist to nourish the tree in any other than an ordinary manner. Besides, he added, my constant talk about unnamable and unmentionable things was very prelude device, quite in keeping with my lowly standing as an author. I was too fond of ending my stories with sights or sounds which paralyzed my heroes' faculties, and left them without courage, words, or associations to tell what they had experienced. We know things, he said, only through our 5 senses or our intuitions, wherefore it is quite impossible to refer to any object or spectacle which cannot be clearly depicted by the solid definitions of facts or the correct doctrines of theology, preferably those of the Congregationalists, with whatever modifications tradition and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle may supply. With this friend Joel Manton I had often languidly disputed. He was principal of the East High School, born and bred in Boston, and sharing New England's self-satisfied deafness to the delicate overtones of life. It was his view that only our normal, objective experiences possess any aesthetic significance, and it is the province of the artist not so much to arouse strong emotion by action, ecstasy, and astonishment, as to maintain a placid interest in the appreciation by accurate, detailed transcriptions of everyday affairs. Especially did he object to my preoccupations with the mystical and the unexplained, for although believing in the supernatural much more fully than I, he would not admit that it was sufficiently commonplace for literary treatment, that a mind can find its greatest pleasure in escapes from the daily treadmill, and in original dramatic recombinations of images usually thrown by habit and fatigue into the hackneyed patterns of actual existence, was something virtually incredible to his clear, practical, and logical intellect. With him, all things and feelings had fixed dimensions, properties, causes, and effects, and although he vaguely knew that the mind sometimes holds visions and sensations of far less geometrical, classifiable, and workable nature, he believed himself justified in drawing an arbitrary line and ruling out of court all that cannot be experienced and understood by the average citizen. Besides, he was almost sure that nothing can really be unnameable. It didn't sound sensible to him. Though I well realized the fatality of imaginative and metaphysical arguments against the commonplace of an orthodox sun-dweller, something in the scene of this afternoon moved me to more than usual contentiousness. The crumbling slate slabs, the particular trees of which haunted old town that stretched around, all combined to rouse my spirit in defense of my work, and I was soon carrying my thrusts into the enemy's own country. It was not indeed difficult to begin a counterattack, for I knew that Joel Manton actually half clung to many old wives' superstitions which sophisticated people had long outgrown, beliefs in the appearance of dying persons at distant places, and the impressions left by old faces on the windows through which they had gazed all their lives. To credit these whisperings of rural grandmothers, I now insisted, argued in faith and subsequent to their material counterparts. It argued a capability of believing in phenomena beyond all normal notions, for if a dead man can transmit his visible or tangible image half across the world, or down the stretch of centuries, how can it be absurd to suppose that deserted houses are full of queer, sentient things, or that old graveyards teem with terrible, unbodied intelligence of generations, and send spirit in order to cause all the manifestations attributed to it cannot be limited by any of the laws of matter, why is it extravagant to imagine physically living dead things and shapes, or absence of shapes, which must, for human sense, in reflecting on these subjects, I assured my with some warmth, is merely a stupid absence of imagination and mental flexibility.